Do 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 do
Do do do do do.
boop boop.
Train the muscles, not the joints. Today I will be doing the double camera setup. I will be doing some photography with this and also filming myself. And I will have a cameraman, the shitty cameraman.
That's right.
On the cameraman.
The one that comments on your videos and says stupid things.
The one that trolls me on my own videos.
That's right.
That he helped me make. And he will be doing the cameraman thing. Because
Shitty cameraman thing.
shitty help is hard to find. People are getting this question all the time. Do I do intermittent fasting? No, I do not do intermittent fasting. The reason why is because it doesn't really work for me. I find if my blood sugar is up and down over long periods of starvation, say my blood sugar drops and stuff, I find that when I go to the gym, I'm weaker, I have less of a pump, all that kind of stuff. So that doesn't mean that will be the case for you. Perhaps you have a different constitution than me. Perhaps your blood type's different. Perhaps genetically, you're designed differently, digestively, I don't know. But in my experience, I found that you need to feed the muscles as much as possible. You can't let them get into starvation constantly. Now, I know there are exceptions to every rule and there are also personal things to take into consideration, but if you want to know what worked for me, it wasn't intermittent fasting. What I found was making sure the blood sugar was stable by constantly feeding the muscles protein and good quality carbs. I found that my body would not only maintain more muscle, but also burn body fat. So I was able to maintain a leaner body mass and actually have more strength and better pumps in the gym and get more results because of it. So the thing is with everybody, they have to find their own way, but I find that starving yourself for long periods of time might help with losing massive amounts of body fat. Say you're at a higher body fat percentage, but I find that most elite bodybuilders at the elite level, don't use that technique. And again, these are all generalities, but I think that this intermittent fasting thing might apply more to people that want to lose body fat that are a little bit more, let's just say they're at a higher body fat percentage. They're not looking to be an elite bodybuilder, which is different. You have to remember that these are two different paradigms. You're not really doing the same thing when you're just saying, hey, I'm 60 pounds overweight or 60 pounds of body fat that I want to lose, as opposed to just being within 10% of 4% body fat. There's going to be different rules that apply under those conditions, right? Because we know the body is different when it is leaner, the hormones are different, the body responds to different input differently. Anybody that's ever went through a contest diet, they'll notice that their body's way more sensitive to the foods you're putting in your body, right? Like you will notice how chicken affects you, how oatmeal affects you, how everything affects you when you're at 5% body fat, much more so than when you're at 25% body fat, because there's really no buffer. So your body's almost like immediately feeling the repercussion of taking in that food because it doesn't have this other supply or this other reserve of fuel in the body, right? So that's something to take into consideration, right? So that's why sometimes people that have achieved really lean body fat levels and they experiment with their diet, they're actually more sensitive to being accountable to how the food and the nutrition affects them because they can really feel it. Like I know for a fact myself, like when I'm at 15% body fat, I do not feel the same, like the food does not affect me as much and it's not quite as powerful as when I'm at 5% body fat. So once you achieve the 5% body fat level, eat a meal and you will notice exactly how it affects you, much more so. So I really suggest that. So that's why I think in that way, competing sometimes can be very useful for people because when you compete, you become very honed in, very impeccable to how your nutrition is affecting you. So yeah, for that reason, I would say competing is good at least one time in your life anyway, or at least getting into a cut and getting really lean one time just to see how this stuff really affects you and how these variables dominate your energy levels or how certain foods cause you to retain water, how certain foods cause you to have no energy, how certain foods cause you to be sluggish. This really becomes apparent when you're at leaner body fat percentages. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. Did you ever watch that Army of Darkness? Army of Darkness when London Bridge is falling down?
No.
Oh man, Bruce Campbell, Army of Darkness. Oh, that's one of the best movies ever. You gotta watch that. As you can see, as I was answering the question, there was something stalking me. Something stalking me. I think it was a troll. I'm not sure, but there was something going on. So my super spider sense was going off a little bit. As a Gallantian, we all have these special powers, and I started to become aware that I was being stalked. And this was when I started to make a decision, as I was casually going about making this video, that I was going to set a trap at some point. So stay tuned for that. I feel like somebody's over my shoulder right now.
That's right. It's your conscience.
What's my conscience saying?
Here. I was kidding.
I was squatting ass to the grass there just to get the shot, but that's not something I do all the time. Nice! There's lots of leaves in this picture. Not exactly creative genius going on in these photographs, but it is nice to take a photograph just for the sake of taking a photograph. And sometimes actually when I take photographs, I just find out what happens. I just take the photo and then I get pleasantly surprised when I get back home. So that's sometimes why I take photos. I don't necessarily try to make something up. So some of you guys are asking me about music and about how I make music and stuff. Now, I'm by no means Bach or Mozart or something like that. I'm self-taught in a lot of ways. And I just do everything. Like when it comes down to creativity, I just basically try and do things. And as I find out what I'm enthusiastic about, that will guide my creative process. That's really how my creative process works with everything. I don't necessarily come up with a preconceived idea of what I'm going to do, but I just start to play. And I think that's really important, because when you play, you naturally start to follow your heart, and then naturally what comes out of it is something that is much more fun, much more happy, much more like that energy of the heart is in there, right? So that's what I do with photography, that's what I do with music, that's what I do with painting or art. I just do what I feel like doing, and then from there some neat accidents happen that people call art, right? It's the same thing that my parents did. They accidentally had me, so this is what was produced. And I never said all art turns out properly, but hey, this is what happened. Wherever you are. Hey, I wonder, any trolls down there? Any trolls down there? Huh? Eh? No, nothing yet. Nothing yet. We're safe. We're safe. This bridge is Gallantian approved. It's Gallantian approved, so we'll be all right. Oh, look, berries. Ooh. Ooh, berries, look. Berries. Berries, look. You see that? This is how you hunt. I am showing you the Gallantian survival skills right here. Raspberry. It's actually not a raspberry, but it's a berry. A little bit of bugs on it. There's actually a lot of bugs on that berry. I won't eat the bugs, although I probably should, but I'll eat the other side. That's not bad. That's good. Okay, no berries. That was very good.
That was a good pun.
That's very good. Oh.
You're gonna get buried with comments.
Buried with comment. That's good too. Yeah, I'm gonna get buried with comments. Look at this. More berry. These are called salmon berries, I think. But there's a lot of bugs on these salmon berries. Okay, let's try this one out. I expect to get clean berries out of the forest. I gotta do a berry dissection. Not bad. A little sour. It's still a little sour. Gotta sweeten up a bit, but not too bad. Good, I have survived in the wilderness. Again, Survivor Man has nothing on me. See? Again, I have proven that less Stroud or Strom or Stick Wick. I'll show you how I can hide in the forest. Watch, just stay there. I'll show you my Absolute awesome survival technique. You won't even see me, see? Look. You won't even see me.
Where'd you go, bro? I can't see it now.
Very hard to see me right now.
Oh man,
You can't even.
See? Very hard to see me right now.
Oh man,
You can't even.
bro, I can't see it now.
See? Very hard.
Where'd he go?
Yeah.
That's right.
Where'd he go?
See, yeah. That's what I'm saying. You
Oh, there you are.
yeah, you could have been you could have been a Gallantian dinner right there. If you were an animal, it would have been over for you. There would have been
Over.
it would have been a fire and you just been doing roasting on a spit or something like that. That's how I hunt trolls, honestly. It's that was an example of the troll cam right there, where a troll will come walking along the bridge, because they do hang out on the bridges quite a bit, but sometimes they make the mistake of going along a path and not checking the bushes. And hey, you know what? I tend to spend a lot of time in the bushes.
Is the bush their own intelligence?
They don't have much intelligence, trolls, no. That's why they are susceptible to the Gallantian hunting techniques. Unfortunately, I don't have to be too smart in order to outsmart the trolls, so I'm just smart enough to outsmart a troll. Not quite smart enough to outsmart a rock, but I'm smart enough to outsmart a troll. That's really what it is. So yeah, you just were privy to a real advanced technique there. Is the camera even on?
Yeah, it is on. Can you imagine it wasn't? You know how shitty that like.
What's the dumbest question you ever got asked?
What's the dumbest question I ever got asked? The dumbest question I ever get asked, and this has happened many times. They say, do you do that technique that you're doing in the video right now because you find that works for you? Like, why do you do that? Do you think it works? I think that's kind of the stupid question, because why would I be doing it if it doesn't work? I mean, anyway.
What's the most intelligent question you think you ever got asked?
There has been quite a few intelligent people on my channel. There has been quite a few. So I get both polarities. I don't just get the stupid questions. I do get some pretty smart questions and smart comments. But the smart realizations, I guess, would be a better thing. I wouldn't say it was a question, but people realize that, oh yeah, I found that this thing worked for me, but then I noticed that thing that worked for me one time in my life didn't work later on, and then a different technique had to work for me, or a different training technique, or a different diet. So you can see that the person evolved, where they realized that although some techniques work for the body under certain circumstances, they don't always work. So you could tell that the person's mind was opening, where they realized that even they become their own hypocrite, because what worked for them at one point doesn't work for them anymore. So I find that when I see that type of intelligence, I get a lot of hope. I get a lot of hope from what I'm doing on this channel, right? Because people start to realize that, oh shit, you know, like lots of different circumstances that are beyond my level of awareness are part of this whole training thing. And unless I realize that things are changing and that different techniques will work at different times, I'll become closed-minded and basically stifle my gains, right? So the bottom line is being open and realizing there's always something new, and your body's always new in every one moment. Every couple of years, your body's changing, different things apply. So yeah, that would be the most intelligent thing, is when I start to see people open up in that way. CrossFit. I'm just sitting here in the middle of a river with my shitty cameraman.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll just take a shot here of you. Shitty cameraman. Yeah. Yeah, that's my shitty cameraman. But there was an interesting comment that was made to me the other day. I think it was in the Facebook group, or it was on YouTube. I can't remember which. So yeah, don't quote me on that, because I don't know. But the bottom line is, the guy asked me, how did I get started with training programs? Like, how did I learn how to make a training program? How did I get into working out in the first place? And I think this is an important question to ask, because first of all, I talk about you learning how to train on your own, learning how to listen to the body, learning how to experience the body, learning to do what works for you. I know I talk about these complex concepts all the time, but the fact is that you need to start with a template. You really do. I started with a template. Everybody starts with a template. It's kind of like starting with the alphabet before you write a great fiction novel. You need to learn your ABCs before you can kind of start writing chapters and putting words together and story and plot. So it's the same thing with training. It's good for you to start with some sort of training program. And really what I'm trying to teach you on this channel is not about you just purchasing my training programs. You can do so, it's a good place to start. But what I want you to do is also use the training programs to become more aware and to become more in tune with your own self, and to be more in tune with your body, and find out what parts of those programs really apply to you, and what parts might not necessarily work for you. And sometimes it does take years for you to discover this. It's not like, you know, within 2 weeks of training you're gonna know. So don't be impatient with yourself. Actually apply a program for several months or years or a few different programs, try different things and stick to it. And then you will start to find a commonality or a thread of truth that goes through all of those programs that seems to help you with gaining muscle. So some people, they'll start a training program for a week or two and then they'll quit, and they'll start another training program for a week or two, then they'll quit. And I would say this is a mistake. You want to stick with a program for a period of time. You want to stick with your training programs no matter what, except for if they're injuring you. So if a program is injuring you, if you're finding you're getting like lower back pain, knee pain, elbow pain or something like that, then maybe it's time to adjust something right away. But otherwise, if you're not noticing anything negative, there's nothing wrong with sticking to your program for at least 3 weeks to several months in order to see if that's the right program for you. So how did I start? I started off by doing curls 3 times a week, just doing arm curls. And my dad basically helped me put together my first program, which basically was just 3 sets of arm curls. And then from there, it was 3 sets of bench press and 3 sets of arm curls. And that's all I did 3 times a week. And then I started to add exercises from there, based on exercises I saw in bodybuilding magazines or exercises that I saw my dad do at some point or another. Gallant! And that's how I started to piece it together. And because I started so slowly, I started to see what exercise was actually affecting my body in a certain way. So I actually conducted an experiment that way, right? I wasn't having a totally perfect program. Like a lot of people are seeking the perfect program where they're addressing everything. They're even working their earlobes and their eyelashes and all the rest of the shit. But what I was doing was just working one muscle group or doing one exercise or maybe 2 exercises. So I knew if I was getting some results in certain areas, then it had to be attributed to that 1 or 2 exercises. I didn't have to figure out, oh, is my squat affecting my calves, you know, or is my squat affecting my ab development, you know, because I was actually doing one movement, so it was obvious what was going on. It was really easy for me to tell. Are bench presses increasing my chest size or my shoulder size or my triceps? You know, that kind of thing. That's how I started. Then I went into a cybergenics type program, which was a program that was introduced a long time ago where they gave you like a 3-day type of split, and then they gave you a diet and all this kind of stuff, and I followed that for a period of time, and I actually really liked that, and I followed that for years. Like years I stuck to that type of split, and then I started to add my own exercises in there or my own rep ranges and to see what worked for me best. But the truth is I stuck to that program for at least 3 or 4 months before I really decided whether it was right for me or not. So yeah, did I start with a template? Yes, I did. It is where you have to start, but then after a while you'll start to understand what works for you and what doesn't, and that's the key. But you have to start with something, right? So don't be afraid of that. Don't think that you're somehow cheating yourself by following a program. That's how everybody starts. But at some point your awareness takes over. So I think you see this with art. You see this with connect the dots, you know, in a coloring book. You know, kids, they start off drawing, but they start connecting the dots like 1, 2, 3, and then it makes a picture. And after some point, they start to learn how the lines go together in order to make a picture, and then they start to graduate towards making their own pictures or making their own art. And that's really how this training program stuff works. So yeah, so if you want to know how I started, that's how I started. I did start with a template, and then I started to get creative after a while because I started to see how my body was adapting. I started to see that my body was growing in certain areas, and then in other areas it wasn't. And then I knew that I needed to add a different exercise or do a different technique or rep range or program in order to bring up that body part that was lagging behind. I hope this helps.
Your videos suck ass. I'm just kidding.
I heavily rely on editing. I mean, if I didn't edit, then
Your
the video would be
suck
shitty.
ass. I'm just kidding.
True.
No, I'm joking, bro.
You're not joking. You don't even watch my video. My cameraman doesn't even watch my videos.
Yeah, I do.
He watches like 3 videos every fucking 4 months, and then he says he watches my videos.
Just because I get bored at my house and I have a nap and I have to go to the gym.
Yeah, if you're asleep, then the YouTube video is going, but you don't really
that's
watch
right.
it. Yeah, that's good. That makes sense.